housing prices in the US have increased 25% since the COVID epidemic in 2020, followed by an inflation that skyrocketed ever since reaching its peak on June 2022 at 9%, having a great impact not only on the housing prices but also on mortgage fixed rates and rent prices as well. So you might be thinking, should I buy or rent a home in 2024? And that's a question a lot of Americans are asking themselves right now. Stay with me until the end of this video, and I promise you know what the best choice for you is. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to smash the like button until it turns blue and subscribe for more. And first of all, let's talk about house prices. For starters, average house prices can go from $168,000 if you are on West Virginia up to $986,000 if you are on Hawaii. Therefore, for the sake of this video, I have chosen two pretty similar homes in the same location, Bakersfield, California, on Zillow.com. Both places have around 1,700 square feet and 4 bedrooms. The one for buying is sitting at $485,000 and the other one for renting for $2,600 per month. Important to notice that the average house prices in California are $806,000. However, this number considers expensive cities like LA and San Francisco, which do not reflect the average American city reality. These homes caught my attention because they reflect the average house price taking the whole United States into account and a compatible rent with the market value of that house chosen to be bought for this example. So, okay, let's do some math. And let me warn you, this video will contain a lot of math. I have gathered very important data to consider. The average person takes 15% of down payment, which is simply calculated by the value of the house. $485,000 times 15%, which is $72,750 that builds directly into the equity of the house. The down payment is often the most common no-go to when buying a house because of the high amount of cash needed to shell out at once, whereas in renting, there is a rent security deposit worth of 1 month of rent typically. The remaining 85%, that is $412,250, will be financed through, for the sake of this example, the most common type of loan, which is 30-year fixed mortgage rate that sits, by the time of this video, at 6.35% a year. Way higher than what it used to be before 2022, which was around 3% a year. Also, when buying a home, you must pay a property tax annually, which varies depending on the state of purchase. For California, the average is 1.35%, for example, which means that $6,547.50 out of the $485,000, which is $545 of property tax a month. We also need to pay homeowners insurance equivalent to 1% of house value, which is $4,850 that monthly goes to $404. Due to the fact that the down payment is under 20%, it means a private mortgage insurance, the PMI, needs to be paid to the lender, which can vary from 0.5% to 2% of the property's value. Let's consider in this example 1% PMI. When we input all those numbers on a mortgage calculator by bank rate, we get a monthly mortgage installment of $3,549. Unfortunately, it doesn't end here. There's more. Also, there are closing costs, such as the origination fee of the loan, the appraisal of the home, so the lender knows how much money your home is actually worth, home inspection, title fees, and other fees that can add up to 5% of house value, totaling, in our example, $24,250, which is $2,020 per month. on the first year mortgage. Because it is a one-time expense, we won't be adding it to the remaining installments. There are other two things that are very often forgotten when buying a home: maintenance and renewal costs. Every 10 years, in average, the roof must be replaced. Some light bulbs might burn every once in a while, there can be infiltration issues, and so on. These go for maintenance. The way your kitchen looks might not be as satisfying after 5 years living on the house. That small bedroom could very well make a bigger living room. Renewals like this can also increase the value of the house. And come on, no one wants a house falling apart. A safe parameter to consider is 1% of the total house value toward maintenance and renewal per year, not necessarily 0.5% equally for both, as there might be years that renewals are not made. A good thing about buying is that your home will be worth more in the future. But remember, house prices don't always go up. In 2022, house prices were $552,000 and dropped down to $492,000 in 2023, an 11% decrease year over year. However, in the long run, 30 years time from now on, we can safely say house prices do always go up. Let's safely consider that this house's price will follow general inflation, 2.89% a year by the time of this video. That means our house by the end of year 30 will be worth $1,140,083, which will mean in an appreciation of $655,083. However, by the end of year 30, we will have paid a total of $1,535,225, which gives us an overpayment in interests totaling $395K of total loss. The important lesson to take here is that even though house prices do go up in the long run, they will rarely beat the mortgage rate we are paying. Therefore, no savings in this example of buying the house. The same applies for rent prices. They could very well decrease a little next year, even though very unlikely, but we know for a fact they will increase 30 years from now on, which means even though rent right now is $2,700 a month, if we consider 5% per year rent inflation, which is what we are sitting at by the time of this recording, rent will cost $2,721 in a year, $3,000 in 6 years, and up to $5,300 in 30 years from now. Having that said, let's now do the math with the renting. Rent is pretty simple. $2,700 monthly, and we add an 1% rent insurance, making it $2,027, which will increase 5% a year as per the current rent inflation rate. To compensate for the money saved by renting in the short term, I assume you'll be investing. I hope at least. To make our calculations easier, let's put all of it on an S&P index fund that grows in average 6% a year after taxes. On rent, we are going to be saving the entire $72,750 down payment minus $5,400, which are the first rent and the 1 month security deposit, which equal to $67,350. That invested on this S&P index fund will make us $386,824 in 30 years, meaning a monthly saving of, in average, $1,073. If we don't consider the savings on rent, buying will be cheaper than renting until the 80th year of payment. If we were to consider the savings on rent due to the investment in the S&P index fund, using the money saved from the down payment, as I mentioned earlier, we would need to live at least 14 years in the house for it to be worth it. That happens because all the expenses, like closing costs and the down payment, need time to be absorbed within the debt, including paying the mortgage interests, which are higher during the first years of the house loan. And as a first conclusion, the time we are going to spend on a house is crucial to absorb such expenses that are not found on renting. Another important point is that if we are to buy a house, we must make either monthly payments greater than the installments or once per year in order to amortize the principal faster and not be a victim of high interests. Variables that we can't control, such as general and rent inflation, mortgage interest rate, may change drastically the results of this analysis. If we were to keep rent inflation the same as general inflation, we would need to live at least 24 years in the house for it to be worth buying. Otherwise, rent would have been way cheaper. There are also important aspects, but numbers to have in mind as well. When you are renting, the landlord might need you to leave the property for whatever reason whenever he or she pleases. On the other hand, when you own a house, you only get to leave if you fail to pay the mortgage. Having all that said, buying will only be worth after staying in a home for at least 8 years, as renting would make more sense if you were able to invest the money you saved by giving up down payment a mortgage. Otherwise, you're not building equity over time at all. However, both options can be okay. I only did all this math to give you the ability to make your own decisions, so you now have autonomy, critical sense, and you can reflect on everything I just said. If you've come all the way here, all I ask you is to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Making this kind of detailed content usually takes a lot of time. Also, helps the algorithm make the video reach more people, and let me know in the comment section from you what is the best for you given all of this, buying or renting. I'll see you on the next one.